Friday, August 18th, 2017, Monaco 64, home of alternative economics and contrarian views. So it's just gone past 9 a.m. London. A lot to talk about. I'll cover the markets, where we are right now. I'll also talk about yesterday's market action. The Dow dropped more than 1%. Which doesn't seem much, but in terms of points, it was 275 points. And I also want to touch upon what's happening domestically in the States, politics-wise, the deep state versus President Trump, because I think that's what's going on. And I'm just observing. I'm a neutral party. I'm not American. I live in the UK. So I'm just observing from afar. And I'm going to say what I think is happening. But before I start talking a little more about that, let's see where the markets are. Well, spot gold is actually testing the highs of the year at 1295. That's been the overnight high, 1295.18. So you can bet the bullion banks are watching that level. Right now we're in 1293.50 a gold, so up just over $5. Silver is up 9 cents at 1712. The Dow is down 16 points, 21,737. S&P is basically unchanged, down a point. In terms of the currencies, we're seeing a big move in the dollar against the yen. And if you have been watching my videos, you would guess that that move is down in the dollar against the yen. So dollar yen now down 0.5% at 109.03. The low's been 108.95. The key level there is around 108.80. We touched that level about 8 days ago, or last week, I think, in the dollar yen, but the dollar rebounded quite strongly after that, and now it's come back down. The pound is a little stronger, 128.86, up 18 pips. Euro is virtually unchanged, 117.28. A lot going on also in Europe and Spain in terms of domestic events. I won't dwell into that at the moment. What else? Well, yeah, the stock market yesterday. So technically, it's starting to look a bit suspect when you look at the chart. We haven't seen moves like this for a very long time. Last week, well, actually on the 10th of August, that was, I think, when the Dow dropped almost 1%. And yesterday dropped 1.2%. Let's see exactly how much that was. Yeah, 1.2% or 274 points. Let's see. Yeah, 1.24%, 274 points. And we closed above the August 10th low. During the day where we were holding that 21,800 level, but then at the end of the day, it was a bad close. We closed near the lows of the day. And so that wasn't a very good close. And this morning, we're not seeing any more upside. I noticed yesterday as well, after the regular close in the stock market, the futures opened, then they went straight down like about 30 points. And that's not a good sign. Am I saying that we're going to see a crash in the stock market? I think it's a little too early. As the saying goes, we need to see some follow through. Today is Friday. We've got a weekend coming up. And then Monday next week, we're also approaching the season that's known for stock market crashes. September, October, the fall or autumn, as the English say. So very interesting day for the stock market and precious metals as well. Gold very near that 1295 level. Maybe by the time I finish this video, we'll have broken through there and gone above 1300. So now I want to speak a little bit about what's happening domestically, politically in the U.S. I basically think there's a battle. It's a war. It's not a war like the Civil War yet, or hopefully it won't be, but it's a war between the deep state, the people who really run the United States. You can, guess who these people are. The big, it's just a big military, industrial, corporate, intelligence, entrenched, bureaucracy against, the president. And I think this president, he is actually trying to do something for the public. And that's the problem they have. Since, I guess you could say, since JFK, when he was shot in Dallas, that these same people that President Eisenhower warned against in his farewell address, the military-industrial complex, these are the people running the United States. It's not the, the public through their elected officials. And so now, Trump won the election. He wasn't supposed to win it. And so they're trying everything to discredit him, to get rid of him. They threw the Russian card. That didn't work. Even the mainstream media hasn't been able to perpetuate that. Then they started, the North Korea campaign, trying to start a war there. That didn't work. Then now, there's this division within the country after Charlottesville, and a lot of, and President Trump is losing a lot of support from the big corporate chiefs, and yeah, it just goes from worse to worse. And one thing that I would say, though, and I've spoken about this before, about hyperinflationary periods or periods where a loss of confidence in the national currency occurs. If you go back to Weimar Germany, that was in 1923. That was 5 years after the Germans lost the war, First World War. And with the loss of the war, the Kaiser Wilhelm had to abdicate. Germany became a republic, and there was a lot of political uncertainty, a lot of assassinations left and right, riots in the streets, street fights. And that was the climate in Germany at the time. And the worst thing, the other thing, a factor that triggered the hyperinflation in Germany, when hyperinflation is the loss of confidence in the national fiat currency. People, don't want to hold on to it. They get rid of it as quickly as possible and buy real things. The other factor was that Germany had huge war debts, war reparations. The country was in huge financial difficulty. So that triggered the hyperinflation, and eventually, the Reichsmark collapsed. At the time it was called the Reichsmark. So I've said before, we are in the same situation, not only in the U.S., but in Europe, Western Europe. We have huge debts, and it's not because of a war. It's because of, our irresponsible and fraudulent monetary system we've had since 1971. And all the financial crisis we had, especially the last one in 2008, the fact that central banks have had to create this massive debt, because to create money to buy, to save the system, you have to, the fiat money is backed by a national debt now. So they've had to indebt their national countries so much, UK, US, everywhere, Greece, Italy, Spain, Portugal, France. So with all this uncertainty going on in the U.S. and the U.S. dollar being the foundation for the monetary, system, the world monetary system, the fiat money monetary system, this is starting to look a little bit like that. We have to see how things, evolve in the next few weeks, next few months in the U.S. But there's definitely a war against Trump by the deep state, and the mainstream media, the establishment. They're part of the deep state. And I'm not making this up. There's Operation Mockingbird, where it was, it came out in public that the CIA has assets in all the major media companies, major media outlets. So, and you look at the headlines here, this is crazy. This is not like the United States that I've known politically. It says Democratic Missouri Senator, and I quote, she says, "I hope Trump is assassinated." So this is a Missouri state senator, Maria Chappelle Nadal. So she's a state senator. What else? Yeah, I mean, this is just getting a bit crazy. There was also I think, CIA guy, I think his name was Philip Mudd. He was on television. He said that government's going to kill him, meaning Trump. And then the guy running I think he was on CNN, and then the host said, "I'm sure you don't mean that literally, do you?" And he said, "Oh, no, no, no." But this is how it is right now. And it matches with that book about the fourth turning, because America has been very stable politically compared to other countries in the world. Even during the Civil War in 1864, there was a presidential election which Abraham Lincoln ran against George McClellan, who was he was a general in the Union Army, and he ran as a Democrat. And so even during the Civil War, there was a peaceful transfer of power, executive power, even though the country was at war, civil war. So yeah, the fourth turning, are we in the fourth turning, and what is it going to look like? So this is really interesting. I'm sure a lot of commentators, analysts are saying that this is the reason why the stock market is going down. And it could be a bit of a trigger, but we know that the stock market is overvalued. We know that the economy is not doing as well as it, is portrayed by the establishment, and even by President Trump, who's taking credit for the stock market. We know that it's all artificial and that it had to correct sometime. And there's always a trigger, and it could be this political domestic situation in the U.S. Yeah, that's how I see things right now. And we just observe, and try to keep the same, tactics, protect yourself. Yes, be in the system if you want, in the financial system. Have holdings, stock holdings or ETFs or futures or whatever, but make sure you're protected physically, with physical gold and silver outside the system. Because as Jim Rickards has been warning, and he knows a lot of people in the inside, we could have what he describes as Ice 9, where you freeze the financial system and you can't access your funds within the system. And the other thing as well that could hurt the dollar if the political situation in the U.S. gets worse. Would you be comfortable as a foreign investor having a lot of assets in the States? That's that's just a thought. So as I leave here, the bullion banks and the central banks and the LBMA are working hard to keep gold from making a new high for the year. We are at 1293.60, 1295 still the high. Silver has been kind of disappointing the last 2 days. It's at 1712, and the Dow is down 10 points. S&P basically unchanged. And the major move this morning, really, that's helping precious metals, is the weakness in the dollar yen. Dollar down 0.5% against the yen. So if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up, share it far and wide, and subscribe to the channel as well if you haven't, so you can get my updates. I make a video every day. So I'll talk to you later. Take care.